nursing and personal care establishments in the NCR Plus region are set to reopen on Saturday. The Health Department and the Food and Drug Administration reiterate that they do not recommend anti-parasitic drug Ivermectin as treatment for COVID-19. The Philippines cannot buy excess COVID-19 vaccines from Israel just yet due to legal concerns. And technical glitches hounded the first day of online registration for the national ID system. And in lighter news, the world's longest pedestrian suspension bridge has opened in Portugal. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. The Health Department and the Food and Drug Administration have repeatedly warned against the use of Ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19. Let's discuss that and other issues with Dr. Vicente Belisario Jr. He is the Dean of the UP College of Public Health. Doc Belly, first off, do you think it's about time for doctors to make a unified stand on the matter of Ivermectin?
Hi, Sean, and good evening to all. Unified stand is important. We call that in medical sciences as consensus. But of course, first and foremost, let's listen to the authorities. When I mean the authorities, this will be World Health Organization, this would be FDA, not just of FDA of the Philippines. You have your US FDA, very strict and stringent. Highly reliable, dependable. You have your UK FDA, you have your European Medicines Agency. So you have a number of regulatory agencies in different parts of the world. And therefore, we'd like to hear them say the same story.
And so right now, while we're not hearing the same stories, and there are doctors here in the Philippines that are providing Ivermectin prescriptions or even compounds or the pills themselves, are these doctors, is it possible for them to face certain violations, whether it's the Hippocratic Oath or legally?
I think the Philippine FDA has made that clear. That the physicians who are prescribing and dispensing the Ivermectin are answerable in case there will be complaints in the future. The regulatory authorities, Sean, actually are intended to protect the people, protect the population. And thus, if it is something that is not endorsed by the regulatory authorities, whoever dispenses such products, are actually responsible for whatever happens.
All right.
Liabilities and all, Sean.
All right. So having said all of that, Doc, do you think, or in your opinion, are the FDA and DOH doing enough to stop the illegal distribution of Ivermectin?
I think it could be better, Sean.
All right.
In fact, just before those products got to the hands of the people. It's actually in the hands of the people. Now, even my own brother claims that he was able to purchase it by some means. And you wonder, if such means are legal and acceptable. And the thing with the practices that lack the blessing of the regulatory authorities is, how sure are you that the products meet a certain standard? And therefore we miss out on the protection that is supposed to be provided by the regulatory authorities if it goes uncontrolled. And therefore, I think now Department of Health and FDA is doing what it can. However, just like COVID, the product is already in the hands of the people and part of in the hands of those who are dispensing.
All right. So yes, definitely hearing you right there, they can do more. Now let's move on over to other matters. On the matter of the extended flexible MECQ, which is going to start tomorrow, do you think, Doc Belly, that the current MECQ protocols should be reviewed in the context of the threat of new variants?
The new variants, no, as the experts say, is a natural phenomenon. No, just Sean, just like the virus that causes common cold. No? We can get common colds, no, every so many years, or even every so many months, and just because the viruses actually have a natural ability, no, to mutate. No, the so-called become variants. And therefore, the variants are a natural phenomenon. I think what we can enhance further is a unified stance on strong public health measures. Now, no matter what those viruses are out there, and you have a number of them, and it's not just your COVID, you have your viruses and bacteria and other microorganisms. If we are strong and united in terms of knowing and practicing public health measures strictly, especially that COVID is still a real threat now in our midst, then I think the risk is low that we get it, or the risk is low that it's going to be mutating any further. Now, because the experts say you don't leave space for the virus to actually thrive, because where they thrive is where they mutate. So we leave them no room.
Yeah.
Not to proliferate in. Sean.
All right. So in simple terms, Doc Belly, we carry on with, the minimum health protocols that we have been used to: distancing, mask, face shield, and of course, sanitation, washing our hands. So just continue practicing that, and of course, enforcing it and disciplining ourselves to actually really stick to all these rules.
But it's not just one or two or three people doing it. No, it has to be a universal thing. The whole family, a whole community, no, and therefore health communications and such what you're doing now in terms of communicating the health messages, no, in the most appropriate medium is the way to go. Of course, don't forget your vaccination, because the vaccines are actually out there to protect all of us.
So having said all of that, Doc Belly, is it possible to achieve herd immunity and the NCR as well as other high-risk areas by, the latter half of this year? This is what vaccine czar Charlie Galvez said. Of course, we would like to be optimistic, but we would also like to keep it a little bit realistic.
I agree with you completely. And therefore, we must actually join hands with government to speed up the vaccinations. First and foremost, the supply chain. If people are ready to get vaccinated and there are no vaccines, then that is a major gap in the vaccine delivery chain. Supplies, and of course, we want to minimize, reduce, if not eliminate, the vaccine hesitancy that is still quite in our midst, Sean? And it's not as simple as telling these people that they're actually not deciding in favor of one's health and the health of the people, but it's actually entailing now more creative means. Now, I'd like to tap, for instance, communication experts on how we can change attitudes so that we can influence the behavior that is a must, so that people submit to vaccination.
Okay, maybe some herd mentality before herd immunity, Doc Belly. But with regard to herd immunity, is this even achievable in the foreseeable future, in your opinion? Do you see like a timeline, sort of? Because this is what people really want to know.
Well, the prediction of government now is something like the third quarter. Of course, we're hearing experts. I was listening to more senior folks from the University of the Philippines. They're experts, epidemiologists. And they say really feasibility is a concern. Maybe push it down the line later this year, possibly even up to next year, achieving herd immunity.
That is still within the foreseeable future. Thank you so much for the optimism and your time and insights. That was Dr. Vicente Belisario Jr., Dean of the UP College of Public Health. Meanwhile, establishments offering dine-in and personal care services in Metro Manila are gearing up for their comeback tomorrow. Dale De Vera has the story.
Workers at this barbershop in Quezon City are busy cleaning up and disinfecting their equipment as they expect customers to come in early. Select personal care services and restaurants in areas under modified ECQ will be allowed to operate starting tomorrow, but only at a limited capacity.
For now, siguro, magsha-shifting lang muna kami from our regular 4 barbers a day gawin muna namin 2 barbers. And then on weekends, siguro that's when we would have 4 barbers.
Ebarle says this will help them somehow bounce back from their losses due to temporary closures this pandemic.
We're glad because we'll be able to operate again. At least for our barbers and staff, meron silang kikitain monthly.
Miggy Moreno, a restaurant owner, shares this excitement. Although he's worried about having to cut down on staff, he says this is better than nothing.
Our income really is from the dine-in customers more than the takeout. So, okay na kami. We'll take whatever will be given. We'll start with 10%, which is for us, it's baby steps to something hopefully better.
Moreno says they will implement an alternate scheduling system for his staff so that everyone will somehow receive an income.
We only have at least maximum of 3 employees on duty every day, but at least to cut the overhead expenses for us. So, amenable naman sila because according to our staff, it's better than not having jobs at all.
Both business owners are planning to apply for a safety seal certification, which will eventually allow them to accommodate more customers. The Trade Department says the certification is not mandatory, but it will at least give customers an assurance that the establishment is safe.
Without safety seal, they're allowed to open already at 10%. So, that will not stop them. And you're not given the information. With that information, you're giving the customers the option to choose.
The DTI has earlier said that some 500,000 jobs will be restored once indoor dining and personal care services in the NCR Plus bubble resume operations. For News 5, Dale Tavarang, we are One News.
Here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. Israel's Ambassador Rafael Harpaz says that legal issues are hindering them from sharing excess COVID-19 vaccines to other countries. Harpaz told News 5 that the Israeli government will first review its contracts with pharmaceutical firms. If legally allowed, he assured that the Philippines will be on top of the list of beneficiaries. The Philippine Statistics Authority has apologized for the inconvenience brought to those who attempted to sign up on the first day of online registration for the National ID or PhilSys. The agency said that the influx of registrants resulted in technical glitches which are now being investigated. And the COVID-19 case count in Batangas so far this year is about to surpass the total number of infections in 2020. Batangas City Health Officer Dr. Rose Ozaeta said the surge could be attributed to the province being a gateway to and from several areas or provinces in the country. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.